Hey everybody, here I am with part one of my Space 1999 Laboratory Eagle build. Let me show you what I've done so far. Okay, so following the directions for the capsule, it's just basically two pieces that come together. Now here they show the windows being placed. I've built several of these and I do not see an advantage to putting these windows in. Some of you guys may disagree. Please comment, because I'd love to hear what you have to say. But basically, I don't put these windows in till like one of the very last things on the model, because I'm going to prime this, I'm going to paint this, and instead of having to mask this, I'd rather just wait till the very end to put it in. Okay, so basically just these two pieces come together, and what I should have done is prime the inside black for light leakage if I decide to put a small LED in there, but I'll probably still do that. So now with this part's very long, and you want to press the parts together so that you get a nice bond. I used Tamiya extra thin cement, by the way, and one of the things I've discovered that's advantageous is wherever you can, use the glue, the cement on the inside surface, because you're never going to see this part. You're only going to see the outside part. So I came here. You don't want to squeeze too much, because when you put this in and take it out of the rest of the ship, you're going to squeeze the sides here. And I did have one build where I guess I squeezed this down too hard and I made this oval shape a little narrow. And then when I would squeeze the ends here, this seam just cracked open. All right, so what I did was this time I squeezed one side and then glued the one side, and then I squeezed the other side and glued that side, and then the tip of the nose. Again, all from the inside. Just drop the glue in there, and on the outside, no glue, because the glue melts the plastic together, and you can scar your finish, and then you have to sand it and whatever. But it's just, you know, less hassle if you're able not to do it on the outside. Okay, so here's the capsule. That's done. Here's the pod itself. The pod is very, very well designed, because it's coming together and there's hardly any gaps anywhere. So it starts off with, let's see, the two bottom pieces, and then this like cross bracing here that has a lip that goes on the inside on each end. So that sort of makes like a frame, kind of. And the thing with that is it can easily come apart as you're gluing it. So what I did was I took some masking tape and I put it along the center. After I just placed it, I put it along the center to make sure this does not move. And then I put those stabilizing ends on there. And then that was pretty simple. As far as the bottom, they have you make all these holes for some reason. See there, it says all the black dots make holes. Okay, I'm wondering if they maybe had an issue with this and put the wrong holes in at first, and then say, well, we don't want to have to redo this, so let's just have them do it. I don't know, but it just seems kind of odd. They have all these holes, but they only want you to drill out some of them. But that's okay. It was fun. I used one smaller than I should have. I probably should use the 1/16, and this is a drill bit set from Dremel, 1/16 drill, and I use a handheld thing to capture it, and very, very easy to do. And what I did was and then I put those pieces on the bottom, so that was done. Okay, and then also interestingly enough, these are not perfectly symmetrical. There is one side that has these parts versus the other side. So when you look at the directions, make sure you're looking at the side you're looking at, because I almost made a mistake. I actually did. I put one hole that I shouldn't have, and I filled it in with some sprue glue. If you can see that there. Okay, so I took care of that. So when you start to do this, make sure you orientate this either this way or the other way. Just stay consistent and then look in the directions. Make sure you're looking at the right side, because they're giving you from the inside to drill, and then I'm looking at the outside because I'm looking at the holes and where the stuff goes. So anyway, so just be aware of that. So when I put the rest of the parts here, I started with a corner. I put one end, and again, glue the inside, and then I put one corner. And for these parts, I used the Tamiya cement. For this inside, I used the Testors clear glue. Okay, because that way I don't have to rush to get it in. If I used the Tamiya cement in the past, I would have put this together and put the Tamiya cement right in there, and then of course that starts to mar up the surface. So instead, I used a thin layer of the Testors on the inside, and then any excess, just wipe it off immediately. So as long as you do one end at a time, just take your time. You can press down and press in, and look, there's hardly any gaps there. Okay, and on this corner is probably the toughest part to get. There's no gaps on there either. Okay, this is probably the only spot I put a tiny bit amount of Tamiya cement just to make sure that the hole's filled. And at this point, I'm just going to sand this. I'm not going to put any filler in there because I am putty challenged. Okay, every time I use putty, I make a mess, huge mess, and then I have to sand, and it just comes out horrible. So I try to use sprue glue. You know, make your own little batch of sprue glue. I don't have it right here. Sorry. Use an old, half bottle of Tamiya, and then start putting the excess sprue trees in here, and then mix it up, and then by the next day you have a nice gooey substance of styrene that's also cement, and fill in any gaps that way. So one corner, then the other corner, and then the other end, one corner, then the other corner. And these have come out really nice. I mean, look at that. There's hardly any gap. There's no need to fill that with anything. So awesome. All right, now the next step they say to do is to place these parts here and then put the roof on. Okay, and actually let's go here. They say to put this on, and put this on, and then put the roof, and then put the sides on. Now I'm going to put the roof on last. Reason being is when I glue these parts on, okay, for example this part, when I glue this part here, I'm going to be able to put in my side pod like this, and I'm going to be able to see the inside. I'll be able to see the inside and glue the inside. If I have the roof on here, I can't do both sides. But if the roof's not there, I can do both sides from the inside, glue from the inside, so you don't see any icky stuff on the outside. And addition to that, you can also lift up and press from the inside to make sure this gap here is filled. Because if you're only being able to press from the outside and this is already covered up, then there's a possibility, I already looked at it before, that I have a tiny gap here. So here, with no roof, I'm able to squeeze that as I glue it to make sure there's no gap, or as little gap as possible. Okay? So that's what's going on. See, look at that. Look how that comes together, like some locking mechanisms to put it in place. That's just really awesome. They put a lot of thought into this, so that's really cool. My tip for sanding, I do sanding. Two reasons for sanding. One, you have little excess material after you cut it with your blade, and or the surface is too shiny. See, I sanded this, and there was shiny stuff and lines. So just to get rid of the shiny stuff, I use 600 grit fine. It's just 4600. The fine. What do you call this now? Nail files. Yes, I walked into a female shop that sells hair supplies, and I buy these there because these are awesome. But you can buy these online, you know, from Squadron, from all sorts of places, you know, Amazon. I use the medium on certain parts if it's too rough, and especially if it's a spot that you're not going to see. It's just like an attachment part. I'll use this and then this, or just this by itself. But either way, if you have some issue with the surface, you can use the medium first, smooth it out, and then use the fine to give it the final smoothing out. This just helps the primer stick to the surface, and also the paint. So that's what's going on for now, guys. I hope to put this together. Oh, final thought. The Directional Rockets. The instructions show to put these on here as you put this together. I put the Directional Rockets in last. I paint them separately and I glue them in last. I do not put them in now, because that little tiny engine bell, that's supposed to be aluminum and black on the inside, and then this is white, and then this is black. I mean, just no, I'm not doing that. I mean, sure, I guess you could do with a brush, with a regular brush, but I paint them separately with my airbrush, and then later on, one of the last things, I glue them in. Same thing with the ones on the landing pod sections. So, okay, guys, this was part 1 of my build. I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. Until next time.